All right. So welcome to everyone. My name is Denise from the South Okanagan Chamber, and thank you for joining us here. This is sort of our kickstart to the new year. Looking forward to a different and productive and successful new year. You're going to hear updates from us for the Chamber, just real brief updates on what we're working on, and then of course our guests. We have MP Richard Cannings and MLA Rolly Russell, and so we thank them for taking the time to be on the line with us. And then I also just see a few people that I want to make sure we say hi to on the line as well. Mayor McCordoff is here from Osoyoos, and Myers-Bennett is also here from Osoyoos, Councillor. So thank you very much for joining us. Petra Ventimila from Oliver might be popping in here shortly as well. And then just so everybody knows, we do have Neha from the Times Chronicle on the line and Brock Jackson from Easy Rock Osoyoos, our local news outlet. So we appreciate them being on the line with us as well. So basically, from any of you members that see our newsletters and get to see what we're working on, you've probably seen quite a few of the announcements and the events that we're having. So I just wanted to share quickly here, just grab it. Can everybody see that okay? Alicia, you got a thumbs up for me? Okay, thank you. So basically, we're sort of the team on the ground, boots on the streets. We're sort of, the Chamber is your local organization, and we're focused on building a strong, resilient, and empowered business community. We're working towards being the local South Okanagan community builders and, you know, inclusive of nonprofits, businesses, and the greater community as a whole in Osoyoos, Oliver, and Okanagan Falls, as well as surrounding area. We actually go all the way out Caledon and Area D for Okanagan Falls. So we really do have a large territory. And so we thank everybody for investing in building strong communities here in our area. So we've had some strategic conversations over the last year and a half, 2 years. And what we're working on is being the connector for our area, connecting entrepreneurs, connecting businesses, and the greater community, right? Like all the service providers and everything like that. We are working on being the connector. Coaching and mentoring as well is becoming a focus for us. Again, we go out for walks, we go see the businesses, we stop in, we talk to them and see how we can coach and help them along the way on their business and entrepreneurial journey. Communication, of course, we're working on newsletters and social media and YouTube channel and all those types of things. So we're really doing our best to get the information out to everyone. So certainly if anyone has feedback on that, feel free to email us or let us know where we maybe need to do more or do less. Collaboration, of course, thank you to everyone being on the line. Collaboration is so big. We always talk about it, saying together we're stronger, but certainly last year and this year and moving forward, we need to work together and maximize our manpower and our finances and everything like that. So we have lots of exciting collaborations coming up in this next year. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. The last one I wanted to share was Champion. As you know, Chambers, that's our big thing. That's our main thing that we do is championing for businesses in the different regions and advocating on your behalf. So right now, for everyone to know, part of the reason why this call is happening is because it is the time that all chambers in the province of BC is working on advocacy and policy to bring forward to the provincial government and then ultimately to the Canadian government. So everything from housing to the national park to cannabis, anything that comes our way from the business community saying, hey, this is going to make life better for us in the business community, then we look at that, we put it into policy, and then we bring it forward. And so right now, if there's anybody that has policy or advocacy issues that they'd like on a provincial level, that's what the next couple of months is going to be about. From our team as well as all the province, the chambers across the province. So definitely looking forward to advocate on our behalf for our small towns and make sure our voices are heard. and of course on a municipal level as well. So it's great to see Ron Obrecht here and Mayor McCordoff, because as well we are working with the municipalities to, again, make business a business happy community out here. So we look forward to talking with everybody a bit more. And for now, that's all sort of our update. And I will pass it on to MP Richard Cannings, and he will give his update, and then Rolly Russell, MLA Rolly Russell will give his update, and then we'll move into the questions. So thanks again, everyone. And Mr. Cannings, you're up. Oh, we've still got you on mute.
I am sorry, I was on mute. The plague of 2020 continues. Well, Happy New Year, everyone, and thanks for inviting me here. It's good to see you all. And yeah, as I said, I hope 2021 is a better year. We're still in the midst of COVID, and I want to acknowledge that we have some serious outbreak in the South Okanagan McKinney Place still, so that's of concern to us all, and the one at Sunnybank. But we're hoping, I know the vaccine, those workers and residents there have been vaccinated, so hopefully that will bring an end to that sad situation. Hopefully the vaccines will continue to roll out. I know most people are concerned that it's not happening fast enough, but we can only hope that things will gradually improve over the next weeks and months. We're in it for the long haul. From a federal, the health aspects of it are obviously more covered by the province, so I'll let Rolly discuss that, I guess. But the federal government has been heavily involved in providing supports for individuals and businesses that have been affected, and those supports continue. They continue to change as the situation changes. So one of the most recent ones in Bill C9, which was before us just before Christmas, regarded the rental supports for businesses, that now the renters can apply for them instead of landlords. That's something that the NDP was really pushing for months, and so we're happy that that change has been made. But if you want information on those details, please contact my office in Penticton. Tourism has obviously been affected. Hopefully some of that has been mitigated by the fact that more people have been staying here through the winter. In fact, and more people from other parts of Canada have been staying here. So I've heard from various businesses that things have been better than normal in the winter, and for that reason. So I hope that has helped. There's certainly no plans in the near future to open up the international borders in terms of bringing in American tourists or travelers going the other way. There's still going to be for instance, well, for Canadians who want to go to the United States or Mexico, they can obviously, but now they have to have a COVID test before they return and still quarantine for 2 weeks. So that's the national border situation, and I don't really see that changing for the next couple of months at least, if not longer. I've heard concerns from the agriculture community around those tests, in that now they have to, when they're bringing in foreign agriculture workers, those workers have to obtain that test, and it's difficult for instance, someone from a small community in Mexico to get a test 20 or 72 hours prior to leaving and get the results back and then get on a plane for Canada. It makes it very difficult to bring in those seasonal agriculture workers. And so it's one of the many things that I know the agriculture sector is concerned about. So we're working on that. I could go on and on. I maybe just mention a few more things. Well, I'll just say the national park may be an issue, as it always is in the South Okanagan. And all I can say is that I've been in touch with Parks Canada for an update in the last few days, and that I haven't had that update yet. But when I last talked to them in the fall, things were proceeding very slowly as far as negotiations go. So I really don't have any update, any news on that front, but things are moving slowly. So I think I'll leave it there, and then if we have time for questions, I can answer specific questions on people's minds, but I'll pass it back to Denise. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you. And then we'll go for MLA Rolly Russell, if you want to let us know how you're doing and what you are working on for our area around here. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. I will say, you know, the last couple of months have been a bit of a whirlwind, and so still certainly trying to get my feet under me and figure out the rules of the game. I will introduce Sarah Dinsdale, who some of you may know via her chamber hat. So she is the Boundary Chamber Executive Director. Did I get your title right? Executive Director? Close enough. Okay. And she is also right now, while I am getting organized, she is on board helping for me in terms of some part-time staffing. And so right now she is the entirety of my staff support. So there's still, we're challenged with dealing with the flood of communication. Anyway, it's a pleasure to have her with me. And as we go forward, I expect to have closer, somewhere between 1.5 to 2 full-time people working with me, one of which should be focused really at the economic development piece of it, which would be kind of interest to you, and the other one more on the social service end of the spectrum. And so I'm doing that hopefully to make sure that we can do a good job with this community office to represent the needs for economic development with the kind of named and targeted staffing position there. I liked, Denise, your comment earlier about hoping for a different 2021. That should be easy. I like attainable goals, and I think regardless, it's going to be different. So look forward to that as well. I will take a pass on Richard's suggestion that I speak to the health aspects. I'm going to avoid that. I'm sure you've been hearing lots about that. I'm happy to answer those questions if you'd like, as best as I can. But I figure I'll stick more to the economic side of things for this group, and ideally some new information if I have any. Likewise, though, certainly what's going on at McKinney and Sunnybank is pretty heartbreaking, and so I wish that I could do more there, and it's pretty painful to see, but it's hopefully that will resolve as quickly as possible. And likewise, I'd mentioned Big White, so more especially under the economic umbrella, the outbreak at Big White is a big challenge, and specifically around kind of the economic impacts there. And so hopefully as well, like things are looking promising there, but it's still a significant outbreak. So very briefly, because there's a few of you that I know and a lot of you that I don't know and haven't met me. I do have, I won't get into all my background, but I have chaired for some time in the past our regional economic development tables here, and have been also kind of an advocate for rural economic development. And my so my focus there has always been on the kind of the plugging the leaks end of the spectrum. So in rural economic development, instead of the large industry smokestack chasing kind of approach, to really be focused at how do we recognize the assets we have in our communities, and really trying to protect those and develop those. And so investment in retention and support for our existing businesses, and lowering barriers to those economic opportunities, those businesses, to really enable them to thrive as best they can. And so hopefully in this new position, I can help and continue in that way. So Denise had shared a few questions earlier. I don't have a lot of answers yet because I'm still getting up to speed. One thing though I would flag for your chamber, which I'm sure you're aware, is that the small and medium business grants that have come out of the province, that they have kind of rejigged that program to some degree to try to help make it easier for small businesses, and that's anything under 150 employees, essentially trying to make that easier for those businesses to apply, including some supports for small businesses that have to work with their accountants to develop the application, for example. So please reach out to try to submit those applications, or get your businesses to submit those applications for that support if they're eligible. And it is a limited pool of funding, and so once it's gone, it's gone. So don't delay too long. Denise had asked about rural development funding. That's a piece I find entertaining, that I was one of the champions for bringing that through UBCM to petition the provincial government to bring back the Rural Development Fund. And now I find myself on the other side of the table, but it's something that I know it was very important for a lot of our rural communities, and I don't have any answers for you now, but I certainly look forward to trying to figure out how to navigate that to make sure we have those, similar supports in some way, shape, or form going forward. I will note that I'm here wearing my MLA hat as opposed to my parliamentary secretary hat, because those are very different roles. So I'm here as your local advocate and representative, as opposed to Flynn Rowe, Rural Development Parliamentary Secretary. And a question was also raised about housing and any innovative kind of housing and rental ideas. I don't have also anything of substance to share there, but I do know there is a intake for a grant that's closing, and know at least the OIB is applying for a housing project for affordable housing, at least to help alleviate some of the pressure there. And I would wrap up just by saying, as per Denise's comments earlier, there's, that process of provincial advocacy on behalf of the chambers to the provincial government. That's great. I'm happy to hear that you're plugging into that. Also, though, please, this is the value of an opportunity like this for me, is to hear what more locally, so from our two chambers in our riding provincially, make sure that we know what, I would like to make sure that I know what the top kind of priority items and what your roadmap looks like. So I'm happy to be here, and always happy to hear input from you. So thank you.
Okay, great. I know we have the questions we were given are big ones that certainly in times of COVID now, those will slow down in terms of that national park conversation and all of that. That's gonna, take a back seat to what everything is being worked on. So again, just because we have advocacy time, that one was brought up as it's a divisive one. And I think that, once it's decided and we move forward, then everybody can make peace with it and do what they need to do. Just a real quick comment on the rural dividend, the fund update. That obviously was fantastic for the Boundary Chamber. I believe they were able to tap into that, and Town of Oliver was able to tap into that. And some great things came out of it. So definitely, I know that one's not going to quickly, all of a sudden be in front of us, but just so you know that certainly in our small towns, there's limited funding opportunities available for us to apply for as a chamber, right? And other nonprofit organizations and economic development. So definitely just looking to see. We don't see any opportunities right now. CITIT, I believe, is sort of on hold, and we don't know when that one's going to be released. And that a lot of the businesses look to that for if they were a bit more of a risk. and the banks are turning them down and the credit unions are turning them down. So very excited about the small and medium business changes that were just made, because that just allowed more of the businesses to apply, right, in terms of how many months they've been operating and all of that. So very, very good to see that. So like I said, I didn't think we would get an answer from anybody today on those ones, but just so you know, there's still that conversation percolates in our communities on a regular basis on those ones. So for everyone, feel free to put in the chat anything that comes up or questions that you have. We are a small enough group. I feel everyone, please unmute yourself and feel free to ask any questions. And certainly I see Mayor McCordoff has her hand up if you want to hop on.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this. It's always quite interesting, and I do like to hear what MP Cannings and MLA Russell say whenever they do. I just want to, what made me think about something is that, and Brock knows this because I was on his radio show this morning. Yesterday, Asuya celebrated the 75th anniversary of its incorporation. So we became a village on January the 14th, 1946. So interesting, when I went through the archives, hauled them out of the vault, the typed and handwritten minutes of the agendas from way back there. The municipality, before it was actually incorporated, was managed by the Chamber of Commerce, and which was at one point called the Board of Trade. So I just thought that was an interesting realization. And so the Chamber of Commerce has been very involved in the South Okanagan, obviously for more than 75 years. So I certainly thank you for doing that, not you specifically, but the people who were involved with this before then. One other thing that was mentioned was the CIDIT grants, and I am a director on CIDIT, which is going to be changed to ETSI-BC very soon, which stands for Economic Development of the Southern Interior. So definitely economic development will be the key thing that we're going to look at. Our meeting is, we've been going through a lot of things, but our next meeting is not until the end of March. So we are not making any decisions on that, but definitely that is our push right now for economic development. So I just thought I would throw those things in for you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. I know I sat in on a couple of those group meetings when they were brainstorming with all the different groups throughout our territory. So that was really good to hear that it's moving sort of more geared for economic development. Yes, and happy birthday. 75 years, that's pretty exciting. So I have just one more question just on that funding note. And then I'll go through the chat to go through those questions there. For MP Cannings, federal government funding for rural communities, business support, economic development, we did hear a tiny bit of conversation that there might be something specifically coming down for rural communities on a federal level. Do you know anything about that, or do you have any insights or heard anything?
I think the main thing that I've heard about with a rural aspect to it is some increasing pledges around broadband internet services to rural areas, which I know has always been one of the main federal asks of rural areas across Canada. And I mean, last week I had a call from someone who lives just on the edge of Penticton who doesn't have high-speed internet because he's a few hundred meters past the end of the fiber. So that's the one thing. Just before we left Ottawa in December, I was talking with Mary Monsef, who's the minister involved with that, and the speech from the throne and the pledges from the government suggest that there'll be renewed, increased funding pool for that. The other big change, of course, is that the government has promised to carve British Columbia out of the Western Economic Development thing and give them their own, economic development organization, agency, whatever you want to call that. And I'm supposed to get an update on that, I think, on Monday or something. So I'll find out more then. But so those are the two things that I can recall that would have a real rural aspect to them, especially the broadband.
Okay, excellent. And for everyone, I see sort of in the chat that Sarah's put Rolly Russell's contact information in there, and then of course Richard's got his contact in there. So definitely we're very fortunate to have very engaged elected officials out here. So do reach out to them if you have questions or comments or want to talk about something specifically. Does anybody know on the call if there's any information available on the proposed development beside the Coast Capital Hotel? And I don't believe we have anyone from Oliver that can speak to that. Does Neha know anything?
No, I haven't heard anything about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and what I do know, Jennifer, as the Chamber has been fortunate to do a bit of work with Grow Oliver and their economic development strategy that they're working on. So we've been able to do a little bit with them. They have applied for funding for that, and I believe it just closed fairly recently, those applications to receive that grant money. They needed a shovel-ready project to put that together out there down on Station Street. So I don't know when they're anticipating to say who got approved for the funding money, but we'll definitely let you know. Our contract wraps up with the Town of Oliver for their economic development project that we're working on together, but we're hoping that we can continue on in some way, shape, or form. So we'll be able to give an update on that, because I know there's lots of questions on what is that going to look like? What are they building? What's going to happen? How is that going to change Main Street? So Jennifer, I'm going to mark that down and have that as a takeaway to follow up with everyone, but yourself as well on that question. Yes, then we have Andrea on the line. We're very excited to have made some good connections with Futurepreneur. Part of the Chamber's focus this year is to get some young families moving into town. Right now, we're seeing and hearing a lot of young families leaving our community, whether that's to Penticton or Kelowna for better job opportunities, or they just can't find housing. So we're hearing families moving out, a couple families moving in, but we've lost several families due to, again, housing issues, job issues, and that. So certainly we want to work a little bit more. We've got hopefully some more conversations with Futurepreneur, and they work with 18 to 39-year-olds. And fantastic resource for people looking to start up a business in that age range. And we'd love to see how we could maybe get some more younger entrepreneurs moving out to our communities and starting up some new businesses. And of course, bringing their families with them. We've got such a great place here. So she's got her contact information in the chat box. Okay. From Gail Scott over at the Regional District in Okanagan Falls, can anyone update on the 2021 DBC Visitor Info Center program, funding stream, etc.? And Gail, feel free to jump in. I'm not sure what the DBC Visitor Info Center program is. Right there, Gail. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. I've been in touch with DBC before Christmas several times, and I'm trying to find out if, in fact, they're going to have a funding stream that will provide local visitor centers to launching into an official visitor information site. That carries about a $10,000 funding support from DBC. My understanding is there's about 17 or 18 local visitor centers around British Columbia, all standing in line waving their hands and saying, pick me, pick me. I'm not so sure that DBC is even going to put any further funding into creating more official sites, which would be very much a shame, considering during COVID-19 and all the tourism and hospitality businesses that have been so hard hit. Visitor centers stand up for support of those tourism products. And I'm really hoping we can find out more information sooner rather than later, if in fact there is going to be enough money coming out of DBC to support moving these local small visitor centers into more official sites. So that's, I haven't got any information back yet. I was just wondering if anybody else has been checking into this.
Mm-hmm. I guess, Rolly Russell, have you heard anything at all on that side of things?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me.
I wasn't sure.
No.
We don't have a tourism person on the line, I don't believe. So not sure if
Yeah,
you heard.
no, I have not, but I have flagged that, and we can try to follow up on that.
Yeah, so Gail, between Rolly and the chamber, hopefully we can come back and get a bit of an update on that one there. I see a few more in there, but I'm just going to get to one that it's a bigger one, and it's from the local tourism sort of cycling group. And anyone on the line, feel free to jump in on this one. But updates, I guess, either from Richard Cannings or Rolly Russell about the tourism cycling pass that we're trying to make all the way from West Bank to Osoyoos. And certainly on a chamber level, I'll let everybody know that we get a lot of calls looking for green tourism. Where can they go where there's a hotel that is very, innovative on the green side of things? Are there wine tour companies that are using electric vehicles and not gas guzzlers? And we've had multiple calls over the years where people make a decision to not come to the South Okanagan, and they'll go to the Kootenays or Nelson because they feel they're just more environmentally aware and a little bit more green going on. So again, another thing for the chamber that we're going to be wanting to highlight businesses that are being more green and what innovative ideas they're doing to be, again, not just selling widgets. They can certainly sell widgets, but maybe they're recycling at the office, or they're composting, or trying to close the loop on, waste products and stuff like that. So certainly this bike tourism one is very exciting, and would love to see it actually come and happen. I know Myers Bennett's on the line. Myers, do you want to jump in and help me out? Oh, you went to mute.
There we go. I've just become part of the Join the Trails of the Okanagan, and we're trying to get the trail completed from right from the Bennett Bridge right to the border. And then we've had meetings actually going beyond in the United States and over the Kootenays. And a big part, and I've talked to Richard about this earlier, is Vassal Lake. And we have a couple other stumbling blocks in between there, but the big part is Vassal Lake. And it seems like there's been studies done since 2007 or way back then, and nothing's been done. And we just need to know how do we push the feds, and is that the provincial government, or who's going to push the buttons? Because we've now got people in OK Falls and Oliver all the way through in every one of the communities, because this trail could be huge for cycling tourism. As you know, in South Oakland or Southern Oregon, I'm sure it's like $40 million, I think, in a little town like Ashland, which is like Osoyoos. So it could be a big creator for OK Falls and Oliver and Osoyoos as a financial gain. So it's more than just a bike trail. It's what people want.
Yeah, and I'll jump in. And this is an issue, is probably, I would say, almost the first issue I heard about when I became an MP was this issue around Vassal Lake, because it is, the stumbling block is the federal government. The Environment Canada, Canadian Wildlife Service holds the lands on the west side of the lake. They don't own the rail trail itself, but they have a lot of say, it seems, over what goes on that side of the lake. And they were very much opposed to the idea of bringing more people in there. It's a lot of sensitive habitat. I always felt that there would be fairly easy ways to mitigate that. And I thought it would be one of the first things I could do, because I know these people who are being a bit reticent about it are people that I used to work with on a daily basis. It has proven to be a lot more difficult and slow going than I thought it would be. We had some meetings. There was a big study done, which once it came out, I realized how useless it was. It was one of these big useless studies, because it didn't answer or even ask the questions that were critical to the Vassal Lake section itself. After that, there was another study done, which was more supportive and provided good information on mitigation and things like that. And just before COVID hit, I did have a meeting with Canadian Wildlife Service on there, and I was quite heartened by, there seemed to be a change of stance there. They weren't being so intransigent and said, okay, there's opportunity for talks on this. And since then, of course, very little has been done about any of that. Environment Canada has been really holed up in their homes. They don't go to their offices. They certainly don't they don't travel to the Okanagan to talk to people or look at things. So it's been difficult to move things forward. I was just thinking this the other day, when I've been talking a lot about Sickle Point and Culloden lately, and that involves the same trail to some extent. And so it reminded me that I should jog the people in the Canadian Wildlife Service and the regional district. The regional district has been very supportive of this idea. So it just reminded me that I should start poking these people again to see what can be done, because it just seems to have gone onto the back burner, everybody's back burner since COVID came along. But I think it's something we should be moving forward on. And as I say, I think there's ways to get around the issues that Environment Canada is concerned about. I think there's plenty of agencies that would be willing to pay for some of that mitigation. And so I'm cautiously optimistic that we can get it moving forward again this year. And I'm not saying that there'll be a bridge and everybody will be cycling down there by the end of the year, but I think we can really move this forward, because I agree totally with Mars and Denise, that this is, something that we should be pushing forward, not just here in the South Okanagan, but everywhere in my riding in the Kootenays as well. So thanks for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm. And maybe, Myers, that could be something that we could help out with as the chamber, in terms of letter writing and getting a few of us together with all of our tourism and destination of Soyuz and that. And just as Richard says, as a reminder to kind of poke them again and let them know that this is a priority for us and we would like to continue the conversation.
That'd be excellent. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, so I have just a couple of more here, and then again, everyone feel free. Again, the more conversation we have, the better. So don't be shy on any of your comments or questions, what you've seen for businesses in the area. And that right now, I did mention it a little bit, but just again, I don't have statistics, but I have reached out to everyone to find out sort of who's moving out of the area and the reasons that they're moving out. Again, these are big issues, right? So we can't always get slam dunks tomorrow, but just to continuously be aware that, we've had several families move out because, people will rent to snowbirds because they can get a bit more money. So then a family doesn't have a place to go and they can't find another rental. So then they're leaving. I know, Rolly, you had mentioned that you hadn't seen anything innovative, but anybody else on the line, have you seen innovative housing things being tackled in different areas? I know in the States, they really do some innovative things in terms of figuring out the housing situation to keep families here. I think, again, as a chamber, we want to be creative and be innovative and think outside the box. so that it's not, you know, a big project that's going to take us 5 years. I think we need to find grassroots things that can happen fairly quickly and we can get things moving. So again, just wanted to mention and reach out to everybody that let's keep talking about housing, because we're losing some families because they don't have places to live. And then labor shortages and struggles. The Chamber did do a business walk in October, and we really want to aim for doing 2 a year because that was just so vital. And perhaps Mr. Russell could come on that walk with us, and Mayor McCordoff, and you know, whoever we can get to come out with us, because that was just so well received, and the businesses were so excited to actually physically see us. Even in a year of COVID, we all had our masks on and we stayed distanced from each other, and they just felt heard. So I think that's a vital thing for us to do. But what came back from the majority of them, if it wasn't a mom and a pop shop that just ran the business themselves, it's labor shortages. And so I know, again, that one's not easily solved, but with labor, they are saying, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm working 60 hours a week to keep either my pizza place going, my retail store going, and then of course, hospitality. People are working overtime and people are getting exhausted. So we did have several entrepreneurs say, you know what, I own this place, this restaurant or whatever, and I'm gonna close down because I am exhausted. I cannot find local labor. We're trying to hire. And so they did all bring up, again, the PMP program, the temporary foreign worker program, work visas, etc. I know, Richard, you mentioned that those are going to be difficult ones as we go into COVID and needing clean tests and stuff before. But any conversation around that or ideas how we can respond to our businesses and how maybe we can help them out a bit? I see Carrie is on the line from our Work BC office, so I'll touch base with her in a second. But just for Mr. Russell or Mr. Cannings, any extra insight on that in terms of how we might be able to help them out? I know spring is coming fast and we're going to need a flurry of workers in all of our industries coming up real quick here.
Yeah, I can't add much other than what I mentioned there, is that I've just been talking, you know, to the agriculture sector in the South Okanagan, and this is, I mean, they have several issues that they wanted to discuss, but I think this was the most pressing that they felt. It's been for the last 2 or 3 years difficult for them to bring in temporary workers, and this addition of having to have the extra COVID test was just going to be another problem on top of that. And so they were concerned that they wouldn't be getting their help in time again for like the 3rd or 4th year in a row. So that's certainly something I've been talking with our agriculture critic and others about, that, seeing what we can do. But I haven't, from a broader perspective of other help in terms of temporary workers for restaurants and hotels, I haven't, I mean, I imagine that the issues are the same, but I haven't heard from those groups. But now that I have, it will be something that I will look into. So thanks for flagging that.
And I don't have too much to add, unfortunately, either. I will flag, though, I guess, again, I'm here wearing my MLA hat, but as Parliamentary Secretary for Rural Development, one of my the bullets in my mandate letter, like, so one of the kind of high priority items for that Parliamentary Secretary role is to work with the Minister of Labor, and that is targeted at a new worker training and job opportunity office. And the idea there, I think, is to try to maximize the impact of the economic recovery planning, economic pieces from COVID, just try to make sure that that works as well as possible for rural communities, especially. And so, you know, again, it's all very new. I don't know what that's going to look like exactly, but that will be part of my mandate. It is part of my mandate going forward, which would help it to touch on some of the pieces you're mentioning.
Yeah, okay. And again, I know these aren't easily solved issues that we're talking about here, so appreciate kind of any insight and just letting everyone know that it's a concern, right? It's a challenge. Carrie, do you mind just introducing yourself from Work BC?
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Berger. I've had the opportunity to meet some of you previously, and so it's nice to see everyone on this call. Thank you, Denise, for having me. One of the things that we certainly hear about at the center as well is the agricultural piece with the limitations in being able to hire foreign workers and how frustrating that is for people. I also hear on the flip side that when they're trying to hire Canadian workers, that often they don't stay or they're not skilled, so that adds some problems. So we definitely, I think, as a group can all, have heard those concerns. One thing that I can tell you that has recently changed with Work BC, the province has introduced some new changes to their wage subsidy program. So the wage subsidy program was already in place prior to COVID. However, since then, they've really opened up parameters, so more people are eligible. So employers are now able to hire back employees who have been laid off. The other piece to it is that employers can actually go on the workbc.ca website and make an application on their own if they found a potential employee that they would like to hire. And in that way, it's a little bit more ease of access for employers. The one stipulation, of course, is that they cannot hire the employee and have them start before the complete wage subsidy agreement has been signed, because it is a legal agreement. But we have found already in the short time that it's been in place that employers are using it. There is ease of access, and it allows for great opportunities for new staff to gain skills, to get back into the workforce, and in some cases back to their employer who had to lay them off due to COVID. So there's some really good things happening as well. With the changes, we are just starting to roll out, getting the word out to communities about that and to businesses. And so, I certainly appreciate an extra voice in that if you're talking to someone and they're having, some issues with wage subsidy. It is a different wage subsidy compared to the ones with COVID that were rolled out through the federal government. This is through Work BC. Yeah, thank you, Denise.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Carrie's put her information in the chat section there. And on that note too, just to say for Carrie, anything you want us to share with the businesses, please do forward to us because we are going to do a specific communication and conversation about labor and getting your labor for this year, and just helping everybody brainstorming, maybe inspiring some teenagers and people that haven't worked for a while, maybe inspiring them to get into the workforce, and then just matching, because we do know you do have people that want to work, right? So just kind of, again, matching people and getting people connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I see, doctors as well, a little bit of a challenge. I did hear good news though. My understanding in Osoyoos is that there are 1 or 2 young doctors coming to one of our doctor's offices, and then the other doctor's office has already got 1 or 2 young doctors just looking to find housing and figure out how they can move their life here after school. So that's very exciting. So hopefully we'll hear news about that officially, that these doctors are accepting new patients. But still certainly an ongoing situation, as I know some of the doctors are reducing their appointment times, so we still got work to do there. And I see Kim. Hi, Kim. Yeah, so there's definitely some innovative housing ideas out there, and I look forward to exploring a few of them with the different groups that are doing that. So thank you for that. Oh, thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Thanks for joining us. We are in our last sort of wrap-up time. Anybody else? Does Easy Rock or the Times Chronicle have any questions for anybody while we're here? And anybody else, any comments? How's it going for businesses? Like I said, don't be shy. Okay. So we really do appreciate everyone coming on out, and certainly thank you so much to our chamber members. That's how we keep going and how we can continue to do the good work that we do. And look for more. We've got several things coming up again. And for Mr. Cannings and Mr. Russell, I'll probably reach out to you separately outside of this. And then also we would love to be able to do this again maybe in a few months and just see what's going on around our area and what's happening. Does that sound good? Okay, Gail, I see you took yourself off mute. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for arranging this. I think it is valuable. I've got probably 1,000 questions, but I'll save them for next time.
I know my list is long, but yeah, we're wrapping up our hour here, and I think it's good seed planting and good food for thought. Nice to see everybody. I will kind of put a summary in, and we look forward to seeing something maybe from the Times Chronicle, and we can share that out. A quick plug to our local news outlets. In light of today's world, I can't say enough how, for me, and I think the Chamber, it is so important we support our local news outlets so that we can have dedicated newspapers. Skaha Matters as well out in OK Falls. Like, I can't even imagine if we didn't have our radio station, our newspaper. We need to know our local news, and we appreciate you guys very much getting out to our kids' soccer games and our community events and sharing relevant and important news with us. So cheers to you guys, and I look forward to talking to everybody again soon. So happy Friday.
Thanks, Denise.
Thanks, Denise.
Thank you, Denise.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Please, bye. Thank you, Richard and Rolly. Thanks.
Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's been nice to catch up.